It's Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review, going to talk about the 2018 film Lifechanger. And this is one of those pleasant surprises, one of those you've never seen this movie lists appeared, and this was on it multiple times on multiple lists. It's a 2018 film I had never heard of. Turns out it's a Canadian film made for a low budget and had surprisingly decent reviews online. I think Rotten Tomatoes is about 87%. Facebook was like 5 out of 5. The reviews were surprisingly good for something that had no bankable stars in it. So it was one of those things that popped up on HamiltonBook.com, and I put the knowledge of seeing it on one of these or two of these or three of these lists, and then I saw it there for, Hamilton Book doesn't charge much more than $4 or $5 for a Blu-ray. It was on there, and so between the two ideas in my head of seeing that in the list and knowing about it, I look it up and look at reviews and go, okay, yeah, it's probably worth the money to get this, watch it, and review it. I mean, it's less than I'd pay to go with somebody to the movies, right? So this movie came in, it sat on the shelf for a few days, and I had some time over the weekend, and I'm like, well, it's short. It's like 80-something minutes. Let's give it a shot. If I don't like it, as I say with anything on a disc, I can pause it or come back to it later or whatever. And I was fully invested in this one as well. I just did a podcast about Dio, the documentary, and it was one that I didn't plan on watching the whole thing of and did, and I think that's compelling these days. In the days where we're over inundated with stuff from streaming and not a lot of it is worthy of watching to the end, it's nice to get something that I want to devour and don't want to turn off. So Lifechanger is kind of like an X-Files episode, told from the point of view of the other character. I don't want to call them a creature because they're not, well, I don't want to get too much into the movie, but it's about a shapeshifter, a person who appears human, who, when the host that they're wearing begins to decay, has to find a new host. And so this is a movie where the main character changes actors several times during the run of the movie, which is fascinating, because they found some really great actors who are no-name actors who play the same character, males and females. And they do a really great job. So the story goes, as you're seeing this person's life, they kind of narrate it and tell you what's going on and how this, and they don't see themselves as a villain. They're kind of an anti-hero kind of thing. And then they meet someone and they have some connection to it. You don't know about it, and that's kind of the mystery of the movie. Again, it's only 80 minutes or so. It's a pretty short film. Cinematography looks like an A-list movie. The acting is all really good. This is a movie that if it had a big budget and some big Hollywood people involved, this could be a serious contender for one of the cult classics of modern day. Like I said, it's like an X-Files episode talking about the shape changing, but treats it very down to earth, very matter of fact. Effects are all practical. There's nothing too shocking until towards the end, but there's some gooey things, and it's got all that. But it's a very human story, and it's one you pretty much anybody can, as this person kind of deals with the obsession over this other person, you can kind of see it from that point of view without all the X-Files-ish, monster-ish trappings of the story. But it does play out like a horror movie. Again, it's highly entertaining. It's hard to dance. I didn't realize it was going to be so hard to dance around what the movie is, It's a shape changer, and they change characters or change actors throughout the film, but it's the same character. And how they deal with the people that they know, that they know from character to character. How do you do that? It's surprisingly deep for a low-budget Canadian film, for something that came out in 2018, but I don't know much about it. There's not a whole lot of Wikipedia on it, but it shows up on a lot of lists, and the reviews are generally positive about it. I told a buddy of mine to watch it. He watched the next day and goes, you know what? That was much deeper than I expected. In the right hands, it could be a massive movie. And I'm like, I know, right? But as it is, they pull it off. They pull off the effects. They pull off the story. They pull off the cinematography. All of it. It just comes together. And at the end, you're like, wow. And it ends on kind of one of those ambiguous, not sure kind of notes. I mean, it has an ending. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't leave you hanging, but it's like, oh. And it doesn't have to explain everything. It does just about everything right. It's not a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination, but if you're going to make one of these genre films and you're going to do it on a low budget, this director, Justin McConnell, did pretty much everything right. I mean, there were some extras, and they actually go in great detail about the making of the movie, and he was planning on making 2 other things. But this somehow got funded first, and they went and they made it, and they shot it kind of guerrilla style in 20 days. I mean, giving everything that goes on behind it, it's amazing they turned out something as cohesive and great as they did. Again, if this was something with a big budget and a big timeline and a lot of time to work on it and big effects and all that, it would be a much bigger film. But it is a diamond in the rough. It's a great surprise, and if you're looking for something to watch, especially on streaming in the vast emptiness of, hey, watch this and be kind of entertained, this was a highly entertaining film. Very interesting, very, like I said, deeper, both me and my buddy, deeper than we expected when you started. If this sounds like a descriptor, watch the movie. I can't really dance around it much. I think the acting's good, but to talk about any actors would give certain things away, if that makes any sense. Anyway, you need to watch the movie. It's called Lifechanger. It's available now. It was released on Blu-ray in both countries. From Hamilton Book, I got the Canadian version, which has all the extras. I don't know if the U.S. version does, but should seek it out if you can. I got it really cheap, and it's definitely worth adding to the collection for horror fans or things looking for horror/fantasy that's different, independent, a fresh story, a fresh take on something. Really well done. Lifechanger came out in 2018. You can get it now on streaming services and on disc. Enjoy. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. Thanks for taking time out of your day to listen to a podcast. I'll be back with another one real soon. So thank you for listening.